I am Marwan Cameron, and this is The Conduit. All right, y'all, it is Thursday, October 14, 2021. It is 57 degrees in beautiful Kitsap County. We have a fantastic show for you this evening. Mayor Wheeler is our guest this evening. As you know, it is election time. And so he has agreed to come on and have a conversation with us. The election is November 2nd. So strap in. Let's learn something and enjoy. So been definitely looking forward to this particular one with the mayor, for sure. So I hope everyone is doing all right. I'm doing all right. It's been a tremendously busy week, but it's been fruitful, which is awesome. It's good to be busy. Tonight we have Kitsap Resiliency Project, which is the resiliency ecosystems, putting on their workshop over at the Black Ring in Port Orchard. Not too late to get in on that. You can contact me for details if you want to participate in that workshop on being resilient and planning ahead. You know, that's very important to me. And so it's a great thing. And it's also great because you can get the kids involved, which I think is also important. We think about, you know, what are the plans that we need to have in place in case something happens, in case we have an emergency. You know, you have those earthquake drills and things like that. So, you know, do you have your food storage? Do you have your water storage? You know, what things do you have in place? You know, all of those things are tremendously important. So, you know, it's about that. But the big one is, you know, was participating in a meeting earlier. And in that meeting, one of the things that we were talking about was, you know, what does community mean to you? And, you know, that's a really interesting question. And people are going to answer that in a myriad of different ways. You know, what does community mean to you? And for me, when I think about this podcast and what we hope to do on this platform is to bring people together, right? Is to kind of create a space where folks that normally don't have access can have access. You know, that's really important. Where they can ask questions, they can learn, grow, talk with people that they wouldn't normally have an opportunity to talk with, right? So all these things are tremendously important. And so, you know, it's something that I take really serious in trying to do that. I think about all the things that I don't know about, you know, in regards to my community, how things work, you know, why things are done the way they are, right? We know that homelessness is a big issue, along as, you know, there's so many other issues that exist. And, you know, because it is so important, right? We see like the buildings downtown, and it's like, well, what can we do with these buildings? And you have to understand what you can do and what you can't do. So we got a lot of people in the chat here. Pastor Ellington, good evening, my brother. Appreciate that. They're coming in fast and furious. So right now, we're just waiting for the mayor to come on. We're having some challenges here with the restream, but he is coming in here in just a hot second here. And we will go ahead and get going. And we have a short-term special guest that wanted to come in and just speak for a hot second. So we're going to let her in too. So how are you two doing this evening? You coming through? Good evening, Mayor Wheeler and Martitha.
Good evening.
Okay.
All right. I hear voices, so I think that means that we got good news.
What? Yeah.
I think that means we got some good news. That's what it sounds like to me. So how are you two this evening?
I'm doing well.
Well, I want to thank you, first and foremost for coming on to the podcast. It means a lot to us at the Conduit for you to come on and kind of share about your platform and just, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you intend to do as if you win re-election and, just kind of expose you to other folks that normally wouldn't have access to you. So we really appreciate that. And with Martita, she is extremely busy, but she loves you, so she wanted to come on and just kind of say a couple words before she had to go.
Oh, that's nice, Martita. It's good to. I saw you just briefly. Martita, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for being here. We welcome you, and we do appreciate all your hard work. I have witnessed how hard you work in the community. I got you.
Thank you.
In a picture helping in the community. I think I tagged you once last year when you was assisting someone who the truck got something.
Oh. I remember
took
that.
a picture. I said, "This is our mayor," and it has supposed to be, when it comes helping the community, was assisting and putting the truck away from the road. And I said, "Mayor, you're not gonna be able to." It's a heavy truck, but I was so glad seeing someone stop by and then help you, pushing this other person's truck. I'm pretty sure that person was very, very grateful having your support there. So I want to say thank you. And yes, so I can be here for a few minutes. I need to go to class, have a class to give tonight with our students of Olympic College. So I have other duties as well. You are really busy too, Mayor. So yes, go ahead, and we are ready to ask you questions.
Oh, great.
All right. So first, Mayor Wheeler, would you tell us a little bit, about yourself for folks that may have never met you and, kind of what you've accomplished over the last 4 years, what you're proud of and what you hope to be doing in the future. And then we'll go to some questions.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll move quickly through that. And I'm lifelong Bremertonian. I was raised in East Bremerton. Grew up in a little 2-bedroom duplex up in East Bremerton, attended local schools, served in left home here, served in the Navy, came back, went into the shipyard. I retired 34 years total, 34-year career active duty in shipyard 6 years ago. Towards the end of my shipyard career, I started serving on the city council. And so I served for 8 years on the city council. I was elected by my peers 3 times to be council president, and continued my education while working in the shipyard, and earned a master's in business administration. And it's just been in my campaigns, they've both been people powered. It's boots on the ground. I knocked on over 15,000 doors my first campaign, and I topped out at 9,600 doors this go around. We had to do some COVID precautions. Right. So I couldn't even get started till June 1st. Over 4,300 face-to-face contacts, and so, which is important to me. And the personal part of me seeing the individuals I work for and them seeing me may be the most important part of what drives my agenda, what helps me prioritize what I'm going to do. So affordable housing was something I took on when I first took office. And within the first year, I had rental assistance and weatherizations programs up and running. I had changed our zoning and changed our code so we could have more infill development, get different sizes of housing, push through different types of, put an ordinance in front of the council to require developers to use a tax incentive to mandate that they put affordable that one down. They've been supportive, so don't get me wrong. I have over 20 programs and initiatives that I've started in my first term, and they've been supportive. They didn't support me on that one, but we'll be revisiting that. There'll be a new group here and to be the mayor who can make sure we push that forward. Cleaning up Kitsap Lake. The housing, of course, affordable housing is important. The homelessness issue, help themselves off the street, out of the cycle that they're in of emergency room or jail trips, often in the same circuit, giving them chances. It started at mobile opioid addiction amenity. We help folks where they are with their treatments. There's a Stand By Me program. I made sure that was in place, was in danger of shutdown for work in that community market operating out of the Salvation Army. Job creation. By the way, I could go on each one of these. This has been 4 years almost of progressive development. I want people to have an opportunity. I want a light at the end of that tunnel when some of these, either they made it through school, and at whatever level of school that they've made it through, they have a job opportunity waiting for them. And all the way to the folks that we want to help become self-sufficient again. They need that. You need that job at the end when you've already need that job at the end. We need all types of jobs, living wage jobs, part-time jobs, Amazon into the city. And those are $18 an hour jobs with some benefits, and over 150 of them, almost 200. And I will do more of that in my second term. So a lot of other things I'm proud of, but I'll just leave it up to the question and answers to bring more of that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for that. Your connection isn't the strongest. So what I'm gonna ask you to do is leave out of the Zoom and then come back in, because we don't want people to miss your answers there. Martita, you were coming in clear, but the mayor was kind of going in and out a little bit. So we just want to make sure that we capture everything. You gave quite a robust list of accomplishments over the last 4 years. Many of those things I didn't know about. So it's definitely good to, again, be exposed to what it is that your efforts are and what you've accomplished. And that's pretty powerful. So we just want to make sure that you're coming in nice and strong.
Okay.
So we don't miss out.
I'll back out and I'll come into the original. You want to resend that link? You want me to go back into the original link that?
No, just use the same Zoom link.
Oh, you want me to come back out and go back into Zoom? Okay.
Yeah, your Zoom was just kind of going in and out. So I just want to make sure we got a nice, strong connection for you.
Okay, let me back out of here. I'll see you in about a minute.
All right. And while the mayor is coming on, please go ahead and type your questions in the chat. We'll ask Martita to maybe ask a question before she goes. I know that she represents a lot of different communities. And so as much as she loves and respects the mayor, I'm sure she has questions on, well, what's gonna happen in the next 4 years should he be reelected, and how is he going to continue to serve the community?
And I can be here by until 5:45, so I'll be good. I just escaped dinner. So that's okay. I'm here, we'll do that for the mayor. I have a question for him, so I'm gonna be bombarding with questions now.
All right.
So I will stay here until 5:45 to ask questions to the mayor. And he's back.
Yep, he's back. So Mayor Wheeler, we're gonna let Martita ask the first question.
Right. Mayor,
Okay.
thank you again. Gracias. And one of the things I would like I know most, your roles, but we would like the community to know more about you. What are the roles as a mayor? What are your roles as a mayor?
Well, what a lot of people don't know is I run the city. And so most cities hire somebody to be the manager. And can you hear me okay?
It was cutting on and off.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, right now you're okay.
I'm going to lean in a little bit. It sounds like it's connectivity that's all of the operations in the city. And I also provide leadership, and I attend the regional board meetings and represent our city at the regional level for large policy decisions. And so, a lot of cities either of our size have a city manager who run the day-to-day operations, police, fire, streets, water, sewer, parks, community development, legal, finance departments. So I do all of that. And then, of course, then I do the other mayor jobs that you get used to seeing. I do a lot of community events. You see me in public and supporting people, being visible with what I think is important and supporting things that are important. And so, yeah, it's a full-time job for sure.
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Mayor. The other question that I have, what are qualities that a mayor needs to be effective?
The first one is you need to be able to listen. And I think an active listener, be humble. Don't ever go into any situation thinking you know the answer. Be open to new ideas, to understand that every doorstep, every situation, you aren't going to know the lens that somebody's speaking to you through, and you're not going to know what circumstances got them to where they are. And don't be offended if it doesn't come out right. You got to just take it and be ready to use it. Be ready to file it away with the biggest characteristics that a mayor needs.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely. When you were leaning forward, Mayor, that worked out a little bit better. If we continue to have issues, what I'm going to do is just have you call in, because we'd rather have your clear audio. Your face is distinguished, but we want your audio more. So
thank you, sir.
We'll do that if we need to. So we have a question from Pastor Ellington from New Horizon Baptist Church. Mayor, thank you for your service to Bremerton this far. How do you specifically plan on bringing new businesses to the city? Also, what kind of timeline can citizens of Bremerton expect to see?
Okay, so for new businesses, we're bringing them in now, and there's a number of ways we can do it. The one thing I did is I made sure that we streamlined our permitting process. So we streamlined our business application process. So reorganized the department, brought in some technology, and I had to add some people to make sure that when a small man or a developer, that we weren't holding them up. We need Amazon in. Amazon's not a small business, but they needed predictability. Another thing I've done is I've contracted with Western Washington University. And so I had to provide small business coaching assistance. A lot of folks, Bremerton, but small business suffered at the same time. So there's opportunity. And so I want the coaching for our folks free. It's free. I've contracted with them. It's obviously this is city taxpayer dollars. Provide the assistance to help somebody go into a virtual or an online type of world, to help a market in this new era, to maybe adjust their product to meet convenience, where we know some folks are stretched for time, or there's
all right, Mayor.
care issues. So people have their children a lot, so they need different type of convenience.
Mayor
Okay.
Wheeler,
You want me to call in?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you this phone number to call in. It's 360.
Okay.
Yeah, what you're saying is too important. We don't want to miss this.
He can stay in the video. And
Okay, 360
854
854
1353.
1353. Okay, I will call you. I'll call you right now.
You got it. Yeah, what the mayor is saying is it's actually a really good question, Pastor Ellington, and I was enjoying listening to the answer to that, because that is really important, and I will make sure that I ask that secondary part of your question there on the screen. So as the mayor is calling in, the first part of the question was, how do you specifically plan on bringing new businesses to the city? Also, what kind of timeline can citizens of Bremerton expect to see? Revitalization of the inner city and not just the downtown corridor. So I think that is a fantastic question. And yeah, we see you're asking for him to call in. So that is what we got. Hi there, Mayor. Are you there?
I am, and I can hear you loud and clear.
That is perfect. You are perfect. So I'm just going to restate the question. Let's just take it from the top, if you don't mind. How do you specifically plan on bringing new businesses to the city? Also, what kind of timeline can citizens of Bremerton expect to see revitalization of the inner city and not just the downtown corridor?
Oh, well, good question. So revitalization is occurring. So, everybody's got a different opinion on what that final end goal is going to look like. But the thing I did when I first got into office is I revamped our permit office and our business and licensing office. So I incorporated technology, I realigned personnel, and I actually had to add staff to meet demand. One of the most important things that I felt I could offer all the citizens of all the entrepreneurs in our city, small businesses, was predictability and a quick, efficient process. And so, those are the things I was. That's why I was able to get Amazon in here. We were able to assure them that we could meet some timelines. There wasn't any tax, like big, flowery tax break or anything like that, where they're never going to pay a tax again. It was a matter of meeting some timelines, and I brought in close to 200 jobs with that. Small business assistance coaching, a contract with Western Washington University. We had a record economy in Bremerton over the last 2 years, believe it or not. There is opportunity in our city. The small businesses suffered though. And so the reason I think it's important is for this coaching is there's a virtual and an online world that I believe small businesses will need help learning how to tap into. You can expand and exponentially when you can harness that technology. Marketing, different ways to market in this new era. Let's face it. Right now, with folks are busy, they need to move fast. A lot of people have their children at home now because of daycare issues. A lot of folks are working in different types of jobs, and they have children with them. So I want to help adjust to this new type of demographic. I want to be able to help folks with that, with the coaching, and so that help the entrepreneurs and the small businesses. I've expanded outdoor seating in our city. So if you're a restaurant owner or you have another type of business, you now can expand your footprint all the way out into the sidewalks. I brought the opportunity zone into Bremerton. So that is downtown. We talked about focusing away from downtown, but if you look at the Wheaton Way corridor, it's totally redesigned, completely redesigned. rezoned, and I will go down to Olympia to help with all of the infrastructure improvements that will occur around the properties. And we will make it attractive for the new businesses coming in. This is well known. It's well known around the region that we put in this work. I'll just close real quick. We are wrapping up the Charleston Calo Avenue Business District redevelopment plan. We've relaxed a lot of the zoning there, so we can have some expansion in the buildings now. We can create a commercial and residential component down there, and so we didn't have that flexibility before. And you're going to see development around our city. It's the same with our house. You'll see the same type of business expansion as you've seen with our housing expansion since I've been in office. And right now it's coming. So I could give you some examples, but maybe I'll stand by for the next question.
Okay. No, I definitely appreciate that. I know Pastor wanted to follow up a little bit more on that, but it's really good that you're able to restate that, because that is truly important. A question that we had from the beginning of this podcast that several people called in and wanted to have an answer to was, there are a lot of empty buildings throughout, kind of downtown, and, like the Sizzler on Wheaton Way and the Denny's that was across the street there. Is there a plan for those buildings? What can be done to repurpose those and, house people or stimulate business or anything like that? Are there any current plans for that?
Yeah. When I went down to Olympia and brought back the funding to redevelop and redesign that whole commercial corridor, we've created, some zoning and some code changes that are going to allow for commercial development in that area. So it won't happen overnight. We can do drive-throughs now. Those like the restaurant industry has suffered. So you'll notice that it's hard to open up a restaurant. We've seen a few open up, but there's other development occurring on Wheaton Way. If you look down to the Wilco that came in 2018,
yeah.
All the way to the latest one that's coming in, the Viking fence that just came into the city in 2018.
Yeah.
All the way to the latest one. Marwan, that sounded like there was an echo coming back at me.
No, you're okay. Pastor Ellington just came online, and so his speakers are up too loud. So continue.
Okay. So to the Viking fence that just came in, and what you're going to see is a combination of a lot of residential development creating a demand for business development. So right now, the old model is you have destinations you drive to. So those didn't do well throughout the country. What we are designing for are villages where you actually have small business, you have residential around it. And so we have close to 600 developments or units under development right at the north end of our city. So that drives an economy or an opportunity for business to step in. And, we will see it. Right now there's new business coming in downtown because Marina Square, and it's too early to divulge what that business, but you will like it downtown. Marina Square, Evergreen Pizza is down there in Evergreen Park. Brand new, very nice restaurant. These folks are investing because they see what's coming our way. So when you get thousands of new residential units, those are potential customers. And those customers, and I'm an existing customer, but we all have needs. We want to get out. We want to dine. We have other needs out in the community that we need taken care of. So right now, the businesses are coming. More incentives will come. I will probably develop another business assistance program to help our folks, like we did last year with COVID, just to get them over the top. And see some more of that coming. Relaxed outdoor dining, outdoor moving your businesses outside. We allow that now. It was a special code change.
Yeah, and I know getting those things through isn't always easy, for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Pastor Ellington, will you go ahead and bring yourself off mute and ask your question to the mayor?
Good evening, Mayor. And forgive me if you already addressed this. I was I'm in a couple of meetings and I think I might have missed it. I heard you mention small business. And so could you speak to that a little bit more? Just what exactly are your plans for small business? And not only small business, right now, you have 3 people in this Zoom with you that represent nonprofit organizations. What is the city's plan to help support our nonprofits in the city? Because we do a lot of, I believe, a lot of vital work within the community. And so what is the city's plan as far as partnering and assisting non-businesses and making sure that they are they stay put in the community?
Yeah. Well, and I've always looked at it, when we, one of the earlier questions I talked about was homelessness. And it's a general term when every single situation is different. And and so with each small business, I would encourage everybody with a vision to come into my office or offices if they're ready to go. And let's find out what the need is going to be. Folks, the assistance this is a big one, is Western Washington University, who I've contracted with. Folks should meet with them. And so whatever it is, make sure that you get things all in order to the best of your ability before signing leases or entering into contracts, before you do all of that. And then we can partner with you, the small businesses or nonprofits, to help you be successful. There's grant opportunities. There's multiple funding opportunities. If it's small business, we can look at your needs. Is it parking? Can I offer the small business coach if parking's an issue, or your location, would some type of a virtual world work, where you have an online presence? Is parking an issue? Can I identify a parking spot close by, like I'm doing downtown, where I offer satellite parking just so you can come up and shop in person. The codes and zonings has been put in place for Calo and Charleston, for the Wheaton Way corridor. Downtown has an opportunity zone. I would just get in there and let's work together on that. The biggest thing is just I'll make sure, and I'll keep working on this. We're gonna meet your demands. So we won't hold you up. We will provide professional service, and I've made sure we can do that by realigning our department, holding lean events, making sure we eliminate any type of inefficiencies, incorporating technology, and I had to invest in staff. All of that obviously takes time, but I think we're up and running right now. And I'd be open, though, for any challenges small business is facing. If certain parking's an issue for some, daycare is an issue. For a lot of them, customers who don't want to leave their houses yet because they're still worried about COVID, workers who don't want to leave their houses yet because they have COVID concerns. I'm open to talking with any small business owner on that. So, yeah.
So, as far as, meeting with the small businesses and nonprofits, and I know you're just kind of speaking of this a little bit as well. What exactly, I guess, Mawan does a monthly program with the landlords. What exactly is your outlook on, affordable places to rent, or even house, as far as businesses and, families, just affordable rental places it's hard to come by these days, and I've been resident of Bremerton for over the last 20 plus years. And within the last five, I'd say about five, I saw prices just skyrocket. And that's a concern, especially when the income doesn't meet the demand for what the landlords are at.
Yeah, so rent caps are prohibited in the state of Washington. So any assistance would have to be a government assistance for a private enterprise. So that wouldn't be happening for a business. Now, nonprofits, all kinds of options there to help build up equity, if it's a purchase, or to help with operating expenses, depending on. I know this because I've been deeply involved with nonprofits for many years. I served on the board for Kentucky Community Resources for several years when Larry Iyer was the director. And so I partner with nonprofits now and have programs. So I would just, if there was a way, like with rent, it depends on the business model. And if I'd have to see which particular situation somebody is trying to rent, but I would still refer them to the small business coach that I'm contracting with, because right now our rents are probably still the cheapest for commercial space in the entire Puget Sound region.
Wow.
So yeah, and that's just if you can picture the I-5 corridor with Bellevue and Kirkland, and just try to picture all of our neighbors. We're still pretty inexpensive. We're still pretty rough here. I mean, if you look at the shape of our buildings, and so I'd have to see what particular instance or which one it is, and then I'd refer them to the coach to find out what's going on, because I'd love to do it myself, and I'm willing to do a little bit. I have an MBA to help with return on investment and how much space somebody needs and what the issues are from holding back, but from generating enough revenue.
So one last question, and I'll turn back over the host mic to Mawan after this. But what exactly is your plan for homelessness in the city, and especially the youth homelessness? Both of them are rapidly growing. I'm sure you've noticed, being a citizen in the city. We all notice it. It seemed to be getting worse, and I can't say for sure that it's happening, but it seems as if the larger city across the water is shipping them across on the ferry. But what exactly is your plan for our homeless community? These are citizens also of Bremerton. They're just unhoused, and I'd like to know your approach to that situation.
Yeah. So there's a couple. The ones that have actually, the eviction prevention program, the rental assistance, and the weatherization program are designed to help folks maintain their shelter. Once they've lost it, then there's the Stand By Me program is a good one. Permanent supportive housing. Right now, it's I can help people get into a home if they've lost it. That's why I've had this massive. You're seeing lots of development around the city and other infill development, and some of it's going to be really small units. But I can help people get into housing. I can help them keep them from losing housing. So the job opportunities, I can help with that by creating more jobs, working in my capacity as mayor to create more opportunity. The chronic homeless. Now, I think everybody, when they think of homelessness, they're not thinking of couch hopping, and they're not thinking of going back home. I think they're thinking of, because there's, that's unstable housing, but we're talking about people really hardcore on the street. And so that's a different challenge. the permanent supportive housing project on Kitsap Way, you've seen that being developed. I started that. Now we had the power and the will from nonprofits. We didn't have the political will to get it done. So I identified that location up on Kitsap Way, and I identified the owner of the property up there who wanted to sell. And the property wasn't even zoned correctly. I looked at it using my planning commission background, and I identified that as a suitable place where it could be rezoned. I put everybody together, and now we have Pendleton Place, which is permanent supportive housing. Now the folks who may never be able to live without assistance, they'll have a place if they can commit to the programs, to treatment programs, and making their appointments. They'll have a place. And so you're speaking about where the Agape used to be at on Kitsap Way, for those listening, right? Yes. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I created the mobile health clinic program where we have medically assisted treatment out in the streets. I mean, literally in the streets, where we go down and we hit different places where folks who are chronically homeless and underserved. We have Peninsula Community Health Services and Bremerton Fire. We're working together to provide that treatment and primary care. Get them some options. Get them into the Stand By Me program. Peninsula Community is running out of the Salvation Army. I have worked with the Salvation Army. We have permanent shelter now. What I mean by permanent is we have 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week shelter. So we can help somebody get out of this. But that's a tough road. The best thing to do is prevention. Just build up our community so everybody has a chance. So they don't fall into that in the first place. But we got to take care of these people that has happened to. So those are things I'm working on. I made sure the Salvation Army could do what they're doing if they had the will and the stamina. I think, Pastor, how hard that would be to do that as long as they're doing it. And they're doing it. And so those are just a couple programs I've worked on to provide options for people.
Well, thank you so much for those questions, Pastor. Martitha needs to go, and the questions are piling up in the chat, so I want to be respectful to everyone. Martitha, do you want to ask your question before you jump off there?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I know Pastor asked some of the questions that I have already outlined here, but it goes back to the homeless community. Mayor, that some of the homeless community, they have mental disabilities. Yeah. And I have seen, many of them in court committing crimes, again, because the mental disabilities or problems they have. You have a couple of questions in the same one for this community that we really is a big concern for their safety, and as well support for them, finding the support. One of the questions is, do you have a plan, or how do you help this community when it comes with mental disabilities and homelessness? When I'm talking about homeless, living in the streets, how do you address those? Do you have a plan to come up with treatment, or not outpatient, maybe inpatient treatment for, to solve this, a little bit of the problem that they've been facing because the mental issue. And the other one is, the winter season is coming up. We're really concerned about those individuals that have no home, they live in the streets. Do you have a plan where to house them when it comes to this? It's already the season here is cold. We're really concerned about them. Do you have a plan for if you become again re-elected as a new mayor for 2022 and 4 years? What is your plan to support them?
So Marwan, I don't know if everybody can hear me. I answered a big part of that when I was talking to Pastor earlier about the Stand By Me program, the mobile medically assisted treatment for opioid addiction, permanent supportive housing, my work with the Salvation Army. But just so folks, maybe those four things, I was instrumental in each part of that, either being the driving force behind it or the final person to get it done. And so the Stand By Me program, so folks would know, that's a public health nurse, that's a mental health specialist and a housing specialist. So that's not just that actually is the assistance that we're looking for. You're looking for to help folks who are chronically underserved. Either a lot of folks unfortunately have an untreated mental illness that they've self-medicated with an addictive drug. Compounds the problem exponentially. It's not unsolvable. If it was, I would focus on other things. But it wouldn't be right for two reasons. One, it is solvable. And the second one is it's the humane thing to do. We are a city that is humane and compassionate for our most vulnerable citizens. So, we keep with those programs. The Salvation Army is going to stay open. I've ensured that they will. There is no cold season for folks now. Fortunately, we have openings, we have vacancy. And so I would encourage anybody to come indoors, get a hot meal, use the hygiene center, and take advantage of the programs that we have. And then let's just have some compassion for the folks who don't just want to do that right away, and some patience. We're going to keep these going, and it'll always be here for them.
All right. I really appreciate that, Martita. Was that good?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Now, yes, I lost here some of my earlier, so I didn't catch up everything when you were talking about that. Now,
Okay.
Next one, where did you stand with the vaccine on unvaccinated? How do you support? I know that there are a lot of people that were last week, I think a couple of weeks, in front of the government building that protesting against the vaccine. There are some parents that are very they're opposed to vaccinate their children. Again, so where do you stand there, and do you support the people who doesn't want to get vaccinated, mandated vaccines? Where do you stand there?
Well, you saw my position recently in Kitsap Public Health. Let me back up. Public safety and public health, I do believe they fall under government, your government, to be responsible for, to make the toughest decisions that benefit all of our citizens. And so now, that being said, that means the public health and vaccine mandates, I do believe that would be a government role. And so that is an option, and it is an option that I would not dismiss based on an ideology or based on some science set that is not vetted. I'll just say that vaccines work, and it is an option. Now, having that entrusted in me, and you've entrusted me with that authority as your representative, I would be very, very careful before we would go to that step. The bright line that I'm just going to explain where I'm coming from. The bright line I've always used throughout this pandemic for how we behave and how we mask up and our social distancing was, would we exceed our hospital capacity if we didn't do this? And would we actually cause more death than this extreme discomfort now? But if we didn't do this, would we actually be causing death because we overflow our hospitals, we overflow our staff, we overrun it, and we are triaging life and death in emergency rooms and parking lots? That's always been the bright line for me. And early in this pandemic, you've seen how tough it got over the summer when we were up close to 300 cases per 100,000. And that was 60 to 70% of our population vaccinated. Could you imagine if there were no, and still masking up with other health and safety protocols? Could you imagine if nothing was done early in the pandemic, and what might have happened to our hospital system if it was ignored? And so that's why government has a role in this. It's my responsibility. Right now, our hospitals have capacity. We are drop our folks off. Our police and fire, mainly our fire, are able to deliver people to the emergency room, and they are turning them over to the emergency room staff, and they're getting back out into the city. So our responses, our first responders aren't being affected by this. We have room in the hospital for this. So that means that this is managed. It's not ideal, but it's managed. So that was my decision not to support a mandatory vaccination, because the data I have says our hospitals can handle it. If the data were to come out, or the trend lines could be shown to me from the hospital, that we are dangerously close to putting other people into jeopardy, their health into jeopardy, because they're deferring maintenance on their bodies. They're deferring elective procedures, or they're turning into more serious procedures that require hospital beds. And those hospital beds are now taken up with COVID patients. If we got to that point, then I would strongly consider a mandate. And that would be my role, because I would have to make that decision to limit the deadly impacts of this virus. So I would use data. I would use statistics. I would need that from the hospital. And of course, I'd need it from our first responders to make that decision. And I think what my role is right now today, Martita, and working with you and Dr. Lillian and Karen and all of the other leaders, is we have to educate people on the safety and the effectiveness of the vaccine. We have to continue doing that. And then hopefully we'll never get to a point where a mandate would be required. Hopefully this is going to go, the trend lines will continue downward. But we do need to educate our folks. That's probably our number one thing we should all be doing right now.
Mayor, there's a question in the chat regarding your answer here, and the question is from Sal, and it's, don't you think you would want to prevent that from happening by making a change before the rush?
Well, then, I'd have to see the backing from science and data that would support that decision. Right now, hospital capacity and those figures were the ones that I used from this, and of course, science and data from the CDC and Washington State Department of Health, to make decisions about parks, how we did the parks, and whether we closed them or not. Right now, the trend line is a decreasing infection rate, hospital capacity managing people's personal decisions, and so I don't right now see this trend heading in a different direction. So doesn't mean, and again, I would need hospital data, and I'll be working. In fact, I'm trying not to use strong words like leaning on them, but I've already asked them in public and called them in public. What is their business plan? They're deferring maintenance on folks. So to what degree does that cause you to need, when are you going to need to staff up? How will you staff up? How will the system take care of folks? And so they aren't producing information to change my decision, but I'll need that information on what they're projecting, and I'll need it from our health district.
All right. I do appreciate that answer. Thank you for that question, Saul. As you can see, you can go ahead and type your questions in the chat. I want to switch it up a little bit, Mayor. Like I said, there's a bunch. Thank you, Martita, for coming on. We really appreciate you. Have a good class.
Thank you, Mayor, for answering the questions. And thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night, everyone.
Absolutely. We will see you again soon.
Thank you.
So, Mayor Wheeler, what do you believe are the challenges that the Black community face? And what have you done specifically to address those concerns? And what is your agenda if reelected for your next term? And just as in addition to that question, there are a lot of resources that we see that kind of are set to address, how Black women have been impacted by the pandemic through employment and whatnot. And we've seen some grant opportunities and some business assistance and things of that nature. We do not see a lot of help for Black men. And I will speak from my experience sitting on a lot of panels and committees and whatnot. Many times I'm the only face there as a Black male. So can you kind of, just speak to that?
Yeah, this is the one thing that really nobody knows unless you actually walked, and knocked on 9,600 doors and had 4,300 face-to-face interactions. And so the most important thing is, and so I have been out into the communities that most people would think that a person like me wouldn't have been into. I would not have, or would have conversations. And so I think the most important thing for people like me is to make sure I make myself available and reach out into different areas with folks who might worship differently than me, might look differently than me, have different challenges. And that's people of color, people, well, obviously different religions, gender, being involved in looking at, making sure I'm in front of folks who have different challenges as females in the workplace. And it's important for me to take that back to City Hall. So then I have the power and the will to back the BIPOC, the recent BIPOC business forum that was going on to help with the SOS program for 9/11 that reaches out to people that might not, be met in traditional settings, by your traditional politician right now, who happens to be probably a white male like me. And so, for African-American men, I think it's important that we connect them. And first off, we gain trust and I gain trust with all communities. And then I work with community leaders and we stand side by side to let people know, first inform and educate. And then we get the trust so they know that that anybody in front of us, we have their best interest at heart. So I'm going to the Kitsap Strong tomorrow. Kitsap Strong is a community that's at the Marvin Williams Center. So I'll be providing opening remarks. That's a forum that develops resiliency, and we're only as resilient as everybody is resilient in our community. We aren't resilient if some folks are marginalized or opportunity is passing them by. So we need more diversity at different tables that are decision-making tables. Housing policy, we need diversity. How we handle addiction and homelessness, we need different lens to look through things. And I mean LGBTQ also. I mean, everybody's got a different reason. Well, why are you here in this situation? And how somebody who's been there before, maybe never fell through the cracks, but was close. We just need that at the table for decision making. So I know there's no exact science other than just being continuously strong and staying with it. And again, I've had these conversations. Marlon, you'd be amazed at what 4,300 door knocks will do for your perspective and how you look at life. And I can tell you from my emails that I get, and I get several a week asking for housing assistance and assistance with a lot of things, that they are all people from all walks of life.
Absolutely. And I definitely haven't done that door knocking, and I've got my perspective on, what my political agenda is, what I feel like my needs are as an individual. And a lot of times the Black community kind of gets looked at through a myopic viewpoint, right? It's, Black Lives Matter or whatever the case may be. So what are some of the Black community talking about are those needs from those door knocks? If you could share some of that with us.
Some of the biggest ones that I've seen are just concerns for children. It's concerns for children. Housing stability is huge. We, for anybody to try to get better in life, you almost need that house. You need that housing stability first. You can't be worrying about if you're going to have shelter every night or every month. And you can't be subjecting yourself to abusive situations to maintain shelter. That's probably the number one thing I hear. And then the children, and how will they be affected? What will their future look like? What I see.
All right, I appreciate that. And I know a question that a gentleman typed in is why doesn't Bremerton get a later ferry run? 9 p.m. is the last boat out of Bremerton. And I think this question is centered around employment opportunities on the other side.
Yeah. No, well, are you talking about the recent changes?
It could be. There's no elaboration on that question. I'm sorry about that, Mayor.
Yeah, it's worker shortage.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Bainbridge is down to one boat, and so is Bremerton. So they've scaled back our runs.
Wow. And is that due to COVID, do you know, or are there other factors that are
partly COVID. It's a perfect storm right now of COVID. A little bit of mandate fears, trying to recruit people, vaccine mandate fears. People, if you got a choice, they might pick, if you don't want a vaccine, they might pick something where you don't have to get one, and then it's just a demographic. We've got a massive amount of people that are aging out, they're retiring, and there's a gap there. So, it's a whole bunch of things at once.
Absolutely. We have a critical question here. You have had your picture taken in multiple businesses. How do you pick which ones you're going to visit for those photo ops and which ones you're not?
I just I don't turn down one. So unfortunately, I'm not so. It could be unfortunately, I'm not so popular that I get competing business photo ops. I don't know which one yet. And there's a drawback with each one.
So the paparazzi isn't following you around with the flashing bulbs everywhere.
Yeah, that's not happening. So I'm available. If somebody's got something that they want me to come to, I'm available.
Well, to that end, Pastor did say, please tell the mayor that I'd like to meet with him when he has some availability. So it sounds like he definitely has some of that. Or tell him to bring a camera with him.
That's right.
So another question we have is, how are you going to work with the county and the state to build more low-income housing and housing for the homeless and hold everyone accountable?
Well, I've got, the county's finally taken on some of the homeless population. And again, it's like a grouping everybody together, but, folks without shelter, everybody's got their own story, but they're going to they're going to provide service in Port Orchard. I've got two other projects in the works, similar to the permanent supportive housing one that I was talking about on Kitsap Way. So there is no downtime and there is no rest when we do this. We need to do this, and so two locations. I don't want to send them out where we have strong support right now, And I'm working with our state legislature. I was working with the city of Seattle and Olympia over the summer, lobbying the governor's office so they would, when the governor proposes his budget, it's best to have it in the budget already before legislature gets it. And so, then work with legislature to adopt the budget. So we need more funding. One of them's a public-private venture. In fact, they both are. And so, I will continue working with the county because they actually, when I do things like this, like the Pendleton Place, and I get things started, the county has funding that they can help devote funding to. So they do have the funding. The same with the Salvation Army. That permanent shelter takes funds, and the county helps fund that. So we work together in that regard. They will support me, and I'm confident they will with this effort. Now, if anybody else wants to take on projects around the county, I would do whatever I can to help them. But right now, it looks like Bremerton's taking the lead on that.
Gotcha.
So,
That's awesome. We have Deborah Jackson that's come on. She's trying to connect her audio. While we're trying to work on that, Mayor, talk about maybe one or two things that you weren't able to get through on your agenda in your first term, and what you hope to get accomplished that maybe you didn't get this term, or something new that you're shooting for if you're reelected.
Yeah, I think I'd like to adjust this multifamily housing tax exemption. It's a tax break that's basically a free giveaway that's no longer necessary to stimulate housing development. We are a profitable area to grow. We're attractive for development. So I would propose that we only offer that exemption now if there's an affordable set aside with it. And I think we can develop a lot of units with that. And so I'll bring it in front of council. I brought it a couple times. I brought it the first time. It was pretty tough conversation, but I was bringing a whole lot of stuff to them, and so maybe they needed to just back off. Maybe they just need to think about all the other stuff I brought to them. So, and again, I don't want to criticize council because all the other things I've had their support on. Everything takes funding and backing, and so. That's probably one that's a big one, actually. I thought should have gone through, but I think can in my next term. We can add a lot of units doing that.
All right. I like that. We have some happy news here. Christina Rourke says, can I add a side comment? Happy birthday to Miss Sunny Wheeler. October has a month of awesome birthdays to celebrate. Thank you for sharing the mayor on your birthday.
Oh, thank you, Christina. Oh, that is so nice. That is very sweet. I'll let her know.
Yeah. So happy birthday to the First Lady for sure. And again, I think that speaks to you, sir. Being willing to spend an hour and a half with us this evening on your wife's birthday. For most people, it's like, hey, this is my wife's birthday, and we're gonna have to do it another time. So how many years have you been married?
Oh, let's see. Let me count back. 2008. This is 13 years.
Okay,
us.
I was like, oh, don't let me get you in trouble. I was like, oh, let me count.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, congratulations on your anniversary, 13 years. We were actually talking about relationships and just kind of the way that people aren't staying together and getting together, and how important that is to reestablish that. We were just talking about that on a previous podcast. So definitely we need all the models of, healthy marriages to show and model that for folks that are, trying to find their way, for sure. So definitely appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Let me ask you another question while we're waiting on Miss Deborah. As you are running for re-election, what is it that you want people to know about, why should you be reelected? There's another candidate that's out there. He has, a few things that he would like to do. And so why are you the absolute choice going forward again?
Well, first off, my focus in my first term has in accomplishments have made my competency and my motives clear. Haven't necessarily taken on the easiest projects. We haven't even talked about cleaning up Kitsap Lake, but I haven't taken on the easiest projects, but they are the necessary ones for the health of our community. And so my motives are proven, and so are my accomplishments with over 20 programs and initiatives that I've started. I have experience in government, city government, as a city council member and as mayor. And so, you combine that with what I consider to be just a fairly humble beginning. Just again, growing up in a small duplex in Bremerton, attending schools here back in the 60s and through the 70s, and Navy veteran, and I was a pipe fitter in the shipyard for first half of my career, enlisted in the Navy. So I think all those things help connect me to people, and then doorbelling gives me a unique insight and a connection that is only mine. That it is only me and the person I've talked with have this connection, and I've did it thousands of times. So I don't even think or talk about or know about anybody else's platform. I just know what mine is. I think I've proven it, and I've proven that I deserve another 4 years.
I appreciate that. To kind of follow up on that, we know that, folks will come out for the presidential election. We have those really big numbers, but down ballot, it starts to drop off, pretty significantly. And to that end, some people feel disenfranchised, and so they don't vote, or they feel like it's not going to matter anyway. For me, what's important, and we had Commissioner Gelder on way back, I think in February or March during Black History Month. And what I asked him was, how did you get involved in running to be a commissioner? So my question to you is, what were the steps to do that? How could someone who is young, not necessarily young, but is saying, what, I want to change my community. I want to get involved. I don't want to feel disenfranchised. I want to be a voice for the voiceless. How can they do that and end up, running for commissioner or running for mayor? Like, what's the process in doing that? What would be a few things that you would tell them to do if they wanted to try to be an advocate at that level?
Well, one thing is you got to get your foundation, get it solid. Do things and do the right thing when no one's watching.
Ooh, I love it.
And so that's where you start to build. That's your foundation, and that's where it starts. And you're not going to get credit all the time, but if you do the right thing, your payback's going to be big. And so you get, some people, their time in their life might not be ready for politics, but it might be for coaching and mentoring. And there's always, and it might be for park volunteering, in which things I've done. And so, a time comes when, and everybody's got a different thing. Some people think they can go right to being a mayor or commissioner, and more power if you, because everybody, my background's what shaped me. And so my background kind of just was, just be humble, get involved. If you want to have a similar path as me, once you think you're free and you can give time back to your city and your community, and you have your support of your family and their needs are taken care of, then you can start planning. I was a planning commissioner 2.5 years. I eased into it. I became a council person. People liked me and encouraged me. I've had encouragement the whole way, and I liked helping people and helping. And so I think just because I don't look at mayor as commissioner as any. It's just a role as a leader in the community, and it could be. I've seen coaches and teachers who've had tremendous impacts on people's lives, and I've seen pastors do the same, and mentors, and just in general mentors who have helped thousands of people. So I think find what you're passionate about too. You got to, and just get that in there, and then go with it. Just go with it.
You said something really powerful. Do the right thing when no one is watching. That is the word of the night, is integrity, right? Because that's what integrity is. You also said something else really powerful, which is you're not always going to win. It may not always turn out in your favor, but you still need to go ahead and do it anyway. Is that a correct, summation of what you were saying there?
Yeah, and sometimes it was more that you may not get credit. But you're right. Also, doing the right thing, you still have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror, and always. And so when you make your decisions, and it may not, and sometimes it doesn't come out right, but and sometimes it does, but you don't get the credit. And so both those things, you just have to keep doing what you feel is the right thing, and things will turn out if your heart's if you're doing it for the right reasons.
Absolutely. I do want to honor your time, so we're just going to take one or two more questions. This one is from Miss Deborah Jackson. And
all right, Deborah.
she's actually in and out because she's also a funeral director, so she's on phone calls, and so she's trying to listen and take calls at the same time. So she's really vested in hearing what you have to say, and also supporting. So here's what she has to say here. While you are bringing in more businesses, how are you going to bring in more people of color into city employment? She also says she is very proud, and you are doing awesome.
Thank you, Deborah. Well, our numbers are going to look really good when we produce them, that we're increasing our diversity in the city. And there's the diversity program alone was a huge initiative. I didn't even talk about that. It's in my campaign literature and on my flyer, diversifying our workforce. But there's so much with training, implicit bias training, helping people be self-aware so they can treat each other mindfully. And then I've expanded my reach into over 100 different areas into the community. And to different organizations. And there's so many, we talked about what we can do. These organizations also help communicate. NAACP, a local champion. And so what we need to do is all work together. For me, for the city, we got to promote it as honorable work. People, and it is, it's, when you are helping somebody either out in the field as a first responder or law enforcement in your parks department, your street department, you got to look at that work as you're providing safe and clean drinking water. You're providing a safe environment for people, a place for people's children to get the actual best learning experiences you can get, which is that interactive play and free play in a playground. And this all honorable work. It takes honorable people, and so we need to work together. And we are working together on that. And we're seeing some results from it. But and then it's just me being in front of the community, different communities, and promoting it. And then when somebody's in there, everybody should know that if they're loyal to the organization, in this case, the city of Bremerton, not me or anybody else, but to the city and what they do, they improve themselves. They get the institutional knowledge and learn how to do their job. And then they kind of prove themselves, because believe it or not, even when people aren't watching and you think they're watching. Somebody's watching. So you do all that. There's not one person that can't become a director in our city, a police chief, fire chief, or work their way up, or in my case, become a mayor. And that's an environment I'm promoting in our city. I'm rewarding it, and it takes a lot. I'll provide opportunities for self-growth. And anybody on this call who can help me, promote city employment for the city of Bremerton, you're my champion. But that's, those are just a few things like that. The training's a big one. I'll just close with that. I brought in Dr. Bryant Marks in I believe it was my second year in office, and I pulled the entire workforce offline. And so that was quite a feat because we had to backfill a lot of positions. And for 2 days, we had Dr. Marks. He worked on President Obama's cabinet. He talked about implicit bias. I think that was the best 2 days we've ever spent as a city. And he was so powerful in helping people become self-aware of why they might feel the same way, that we changed lives. And then the rest of it, I'm reinforcing with the new diversity program with implicit bias training, which is required in the program. And it all comes together when you want to diversify your workforce.
Wow. All right. You say that's the most powerful 2 days. That is something. I wish I could have been there for that. I'm going to give Pastor Ellington the last question here for you, Mayor.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Brother Marwan and Mayor Willer. Appreciate you both. So, Mayor Willer, and I know everybody watching wants to, kind of know this one. So quite a bit of money was spent there on the interchange, the corridor right there on Charleston, the East Shipyard traffic. Yet it doesn't seem to have gotten like any better. If anything, it seems worse to me. Those hours when the workday is over with and everybody's trying to, get on, get around Gorse and onto the 16, it is a nightmare. Does the city have any plans on readdressing that connection there? And I even kind of thought maybe a bridge over to Port Orchard would ease some traffic. Have you given any thought to that? Has the city thought about that congestion? Pastor,
I think a higher power is calling up. It's just called you to answer that question. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. We have the most powerful coalition of elected and business leaders. Sister Plemester is on it as a business representative that we've ever seen. We have the Gorst Coalition put together. We are going to get that congestion issue fixed. So we have Congressman Kilmer, we have state senators who are regular participants. We are already bringing home money to begin the preliminary design work. We're further along than we've ever been. We are now on the state's priority list. I spent all summer, myself and a short group of electeds, doing Zoom calls around the state, over 40 meetings with individual state legislators to ensure this project made the state list. And so we are on that list. We've never been on it before. So that combined with the Biden and Harris administration infrastructure package, which is going to be approved here, my fingers are crossed here this year, then we can bring home enough money to complete. Well, the preliminary design funding we already brought that home. And so we will get a construction design, and then we will start construction. It'll be probably one of the largest infrastructure projects we've ever seen in this region. My gosh, the Navy is involved with this. A lot of work. It's exciting. I'm glad you brought it up.
I kind of see it as a safety issue. If something tragic was to happen, everybody knows that's the main route, to kind of get from this side. And so even if you're going to take the back way and keep down 3 and through Belfair, or you're going to hit up 16, you still got to get through that tight bottleneck there. And so that's it's a lot of things at play there. So I'm glad to hear that you're focused on that, and you've been working hard to bring a resolution to that, as I'm sure, all of my wants listeners will be happy to hear that as well. I know I am. I'm gonna just say thank you, God, for that one.
Well, thank you for that, Pastor. I would be remiss, Mayor, if I did not ask you a question. What does community mean to you? How would you define that?
Well, community means, I would define it as someone's got your back, and you don't need to really know who. So it just, we talk about it. It means if something's going wrong, you don't know who's going to be the right person at the right time, but it means someone's got your back. And then when you get a whole bunch of people together like that, and you've got community. That's just I think it's part of my growing up in East Bremerton in my neighborhood, and it's just always been that way. I know when I don't have it, and I know when I have it. And it's amazing because I think we've got it here in Bremerton. And hopefully nobody ever has to find out, and things don't get so tough that you need somebody to have your back. But yeah, so that's my version of community. In short,
we all need it. We all need it. Mayor Wheeler, we want you to, get with your wife and enjoy her birthday. We are so tremendously thankful that you were willing to come on and talk to us this evening and answer these questions. And as we do, we don't give the questions up front. And, you were more than willing and gracious to answer those questions. We wish you well in your reelection. As a personal note for me, as I have gotten into this work and, running Gather Together, Grow Together, and trying to make an impact in the community, I definitely kind of have a philosophy of, kind of get off the couch and do something, right? And, posting or retweeting things can be helpful, but, there's an action that needs to happen that's tangible. And so that's kind of where G2 is born from. And to that, my head has been down trying to, serve the clients that we serve and do the work. And I haven't really looked up and said, hey, how do I collaborate and work with, politicians and other leaders and things like that. And so these are the ways that, I'm now starting to do those things. So I look forward to, getting a chance maybe to work with you if you win re-election. And I can tell, again, the word is integrity. And you were doing these things before you were mayor. So whether you win or lose, it sounds like we will have an opportunity to work together to continue to build community in our community, work on relationship, and make this place what we want it to be.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you any final word that you'd like to say.
Well, I just appreciate everybody's time tonight and spending time and asking me questions, all valuable questions, and makes me a better representative. So I value doing this, and I especially just value this tonight. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, from all of us at the Conduit, we thank you, Mayor Wheeler. We won't keep you any longer. Again, we wish you well in your campaign, and we look forward to seeing you in the community as we see you everywhere.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Have a good one, Mayor.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everyone. That was Mayor Wheeler, who is running for re-election. As we talked about, the election is on November 2nd. If you did not get your questions answered, please go ahead and send them to me. But what I would say is you can reach out right onto his campaign page, or, he is a city official, so there is a way for you to reach out right there. Again, the election is on the 2nd. You should have gotten your pamphlet in the mail. Please read over it and see what folks are running. What's important to them? What is their platform? How is that going to impact you? How is that going to impact your children? You heard everything from homelessness to traffic to the BIPOC community and more. So, you are a citizen. Your vote counts. Your voice matters. So make it be heard. Power is taken. It is not given. Let's go ahead and take that power. So if you have time, stick with us because the Resiliency Ecosystems workshop is coming up immediately after this. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share on YouTube and Facebook. I am Marwan Cameron, and for Sabrina, who's in the studio with me, have a good night.